This week, we're talking about overwhelm. What is overwhelm? What do we believe creates overwhelm? What actually does create that overwhelm, which might actually surprise you? And how are we able to control it if we can? We're going to be talking about that this week on episode number 206 of The Relaxed Male.
This is The Relaxed Male, a show that comes to you each week helping men to remove the nice guy from their life so they can actually live their life on their terms. Join the host, certified coach Brian Goodwin, as he helps men step out of their heads and become free from the thoughts that bind them.
Hey man, hello and welcome to The Relaxed Male. I'm your host Brian, and I am certified men's coach who assists men who are just neck deep in the suffering of their life. Men who are going through a divorce, men who are going just through their day-to-day struggles. Life can come at us fast, and sometimes we just become so overwhelmed, which is what we're going to be talking about today, that we just don't know what to do. I help men get the most out of their life by changing the thoughts that are around what their current circumstances are. And in each week, we take a chance, we stop, we look at and see what it takes to actually change at how we look at life so that we can become better, stronger, more successful on the other side without playing the victim. And today, one of the big things that we are, as men, we struggle with is being overwhelmed. Stuff comes at us in so many different levels, so many different ways, so many different directions that it's kind of a pain in the butt sometimes. We become overwhelmed. So, and it's just something that just, no other better way to say it than it just flat out sucks. But before we jump into being overwhelmed and how we handle overwhelm, well, how we deal with that overwhelm, I wanted to just say thanks, guys. Thank you so much for all the men who are new, the new guys coming in, listening, hearing the show for the first time, seeing what it's all about and coming to see that they can actually change how they're looking at life, and being able to see that, hey, we can actually stand up and we can be our own men and have a good life doing it, living life on our terms, getting what we want from our life, from those around us, while still being true to who we are. And that is one of the greatest rewards that I've got, is that you guys are going around telling other people that, hey, there's a thing called Relaxed Male around there. There's a movement going on that is changing men's lives. And that can only be done by y'all. I do what I can in marketing, but still, the other guys have got to be able to hear it from you and hear that you're the ones who are talking about, hey, this is a great show. These guys are just knocking it out of the park. And growing this community is one of the great things that is happening for men right now. So guys, thank you again. And please keep sharing the shows out as they keep coming out. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. But I wanted to now go ahead and jump on in. Talk about overwhelm and what is it? What is actually causes our overwhelm, and how do we handle the overwhelm that we're faced? So overwhelm, we know what it is. All of a sudden we've got the boss throwing 37,000 different things at us all at once. Our wife is telling us that we're working too much, but then if we don't work enough, then we aren't making enough money. And then we're getting hit with, well, we got to pay the bills. We don't have enough money for everything. And so things are coming out, and little Billy's got his football, jersey that he's got to get paid for. And Sally's got her dance lessons. Everything's coming at us at once. And so many times we are just swamped with what's happening in our life. And there's a lot of problems with why we become overwhelmed. But first off, I wanted to point out, what is overwhelm? Let's break this down. Let's make sure we get a good overarching definition of what overwhelm actually means, because without, I may be talking about overwhelm and you may be thinking it means something else, and it completely throws everybody over. It gets you snowed over and you start to get a little it helps clear it helps clear things up. I don't know why all of a sudden I guess I'm still just having a little bit of a turkey hangover. Whew. Great Thanksgiving, guys. I don't know if y'all had a great Thanksgiving. This is actually the Saturday after Thanksgiving, so great time to have everything up, going, and just sit back and relax and enjoy the day. But again, we start to have overwhelm coming in. And what is overwhelm? Overwhelm is described as buried or drowned beneath a huge mass. The water flowed through to overwhelm the whole dam and the village beneath is a good example. Defeat completely, or to give too much of a thing to someone, otherwise known as inundate. Now, these are all good descriptions of what what it means to be overwhelmed. But in life, overwhelm is just that feeling that we get when we have taken on too much, when we become unsure of what our next step or action actually needs to be. We want to believe that we have more going on in our lives than what we can physically, emotionally, or mentally take on. And so when we become overwhelmed, it can become kind of scary because we see that we should be doing more. We see that we need to be cranking out more effort, but yet how do we? We start to get a lot of confusion and uncertainty showing up whenever we become overwhelmed. So what do we believe actually creates overwhelm? And a lot of people want to say that it's what our circumstances are. It's the boss throwing everything at us, giving us more and more and more to our on our plate. Our family life, the uncontrolled schedules that we allow ourselves to be put into. And the thing is that our circumstances actually do not create our overwhelm. It's not the boss who is giving us, two new assignments that we have yet to and we haven't even finished the first one yet. And, it's not the fact that our wife is demanding more from us. And it's not that our children are demanding more from us at the same time that our work is needing stuff and society's needing stuff and all the other folks are needing stuff from us. That none of that actually creates our overwhelm, which is, I get, you might be standing back going, bull crap. I know what creates my overwhelm. It's the fact that I've got bills to pay and I don't have time to even enjoy time with my honey before I have to go make more car payments. What actually creates our overwhelm are our thoughts about what our circumstances are. The circumstances being the facts of whatever our circumstance or our scenario is. The boss has given you 2 new accounts that you have to work on. Okay. Is that the full truth? Is that the full solid facts? Yeah. He gave us 2 new accounts that we need to work on this week. Plus you've got your other new assignments that he's handed over to you. Fact of the matter is that you may be married and that your wife has had a discussion with you that you're spending too much time at the office, and that your bills are getting covered almost by what you're doing. All those are true facts, but none of that creates the overwhelm. It's the thought that you have about the circumstances being the facts, and our thoughts create the feeling of overwhelm, because overwhelm is nothing but an emotion. That's all it is. It's just an emotion, nothing more, nothing less. It is just a vibration that is felt throughout our body. And so that first, just blowing that up off the table should relieve a lot of the overwhelm. Not that it does, but it there's a good chance that it will help at least break the seal on the on the pressure relief valve, because we're not going to drown in overwhelm. It may feel like it, but we're not. We're not going to have a mental breakdown, because the facts that are in our life, the circumstances that we are facing are just there, and they're not ever going to change. They have no effect on our mental being. on our physical being. They have no effect on our emotional being. They just are. So we don't have to worry about those extra accounts causing us to have a mental breakdown. They're just going to be there. Does it feel pleasant? No. Overwhelm can be scary, and it really causes us to want to dive into our indulging emotions, our indulging actions like drinking, overeating, smoking, playing video games, watching porn, going off doing other things that we know we don't really need to do, but we do. So what actually causes overwhelm? If it's our thoughts that create it, there are some very specific thoughts that actually accentuate the overwhelm, to builds the overwhelm up even more. And those are, one, shoulding on ourselves. We always loved, I should be doing more to provide for the family. Well, should you? Really? Should you? Shoulding is not productive. Now, there's some good things to should. I should get the car filled up so that I don't run out of gas tomorrow. Those are good things to talk about. When you can actually use should as a proper motivator, I should fill the car up. I should get something to eat because I'm hungry. I should, go give the wife a kiss and let her know that I'm home. These are things that are actually okay for shoulding. But when you are shoulding on yourself and it's not being productive, shoulding is thinking you're not being productive when you are. Now, you may not be able to do, a certain number of elements, but saying I should do more. Well, really, should you? Or is that just you saying that because that's the judgment that you have about yourself? Because a lot of times us shoulding is just us judging ourselves. And if you're having thoughts that are not truly motivating yourself, but they're actually putting pressure upon you, that's one of those times where your thoughts are actually creating your overwhelm. Another reason, or another type of thought that is actually causing you to feel overwhelmed or to build up the overwhelm in you, is black and white thinking, the either or thinking. I will never get this done is very boom. You told yourself you're never getting this done. Well, guess what? Your brain's going, oh, well, you've got to do it anyhow, but I can't do it because I'm never going to get it done. And you create this swirling mental spin effect. I'm terrible at this. Telling yourself non-motivating thoughts, giving yourself self-defeating, thinking that you've got too much on your plate. Do you really? I don't know. You're the one that can actually answer that. A lot of times we don't manage our time well, and so we end up causing ourselves a lot more of a problem in that. So to be able to live a life intentionally can actually help prevent yourself from having these very black and white thinking. Either I get this done now or I'm fired is not going to help you. Thinking either get home now or not pay the bills. Those types of thoughts are not going to serve you. They're not going to help you in any way. They're just going to add on to the mental pressure that you already have. Another thought that actually will create problems and create overwhelm is the perfectionist thinking, where you're setting very unrealistic expectations. I have got to be 100% on my calls this week, or something's going to happen. So terrible. So I'm not going to eat today. I'm a terrible person. To provide a very judgmental means of thinking does not help you. Fearing the element of failing. This is another means of why perfectionists never get themselves out of a hole, because they are always feeling overwhelmed because if I fail, I'm going to mess it up, or if I'm going to mess it up, or I don't know how to do this. Those are all three different types of thoughts that we will have that keep us being overwhelmed instead of getting us down the road, getting us further along in the ride than what we want to actually be able to do. If we think we have to be perfect on something, we're never going to get it started. The reason we're not going to get it started is not because we aren't motivated to do so. We're just stuck. We become overwhelmed in what we think we can, can't, or should not do. And again, shooting on ourselves because we are thinking that we should be one way or should be another way. People pleasing is another line of thinking. I can't say no, or or my boss is going to get mad. Well, so what if your boss gets mad? Well, I can't get fired. Really? You can't? I mean, these are thoughts that we want to pile on top of ourselves. These are all the thoughts that we start allowing ourselves to get tied up in. And these thoughts keep us from being able to work at the highest ability that we have because we're sitting in overwhelm, because we're worried about what everybody else is going to think of us instead of just getting the job done. If I play small, no one's going to notice me. And no one notices me, then I can actually help other people out. People pleasing is, like I said, people pleasing and being the nice guy in particular, one of the worst things you could actually do, because you're not helping anybody. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping those around you. You're too busy trying to manipulate other people into making sure that your emotional state is better. And when you're feeling overwhelmed, you're busy people pleasing, you're not going to set proper boundaries. And that's one of the big reasons that overwhelm happens, is because we don't set boundaries. We don't say no when no needs to be said. So we allow more stuff to be added onto our plate. We let our boss use us as a doormat and just keeps throwing stuff onto us. Oh, well, I need you to get this done, this done, this done, knowing that you're going to go, okay, sure thing, boss. And you're going to keep allowing that to happen. Now, another reason that overwhelm comes about is, again, you don't manage your time. It's like, well, I only have so much time in a day. Yeah, you're right. You have just so much time in the day, but you could be using something like Monday Hour 1 as a means to being able to schedule your time out so that you can get stuff done. But yet so many of us want to just take more and more and more on and don't say no. If we don't have the ability to say no, we will be overwhelmed, and we'll feel like we're drowning all the time. And all that overwhelm ends up leading into burnout. And burnout is like one of the worst things that can happen, because then you lose all traction, all motivation. Your momentum in doing whatever it is you're doing just dwindles and fades off. So how do we control overwhelm? That's not really all that difficult. First, got to know about what overwhelm is. You got to understand when you're feeling overwhelmed, how to actually determine that you're feeling that overwhelm. When you're able to, you get to understand that being busy isn't what fixes your overwhelm. I just got to get busier. No, dude, you're overwhelmed because you keep taking more stuff on. So you're plenty busy. How productive are you being? The more productive you can be, the better you will actually become on whatever aspects of your life that you're trying to improve. If you're trying to get work done so that you become more present with your family, then you need to understand how to actually make those steps. And to do so, it isn't just going through and doing the busy work. It's actually taking very deliberate steps. And that's probably one of the best things on being able to control, is starting to have very intentional thoughts about whatever the circumstances are. Understanding where your thoughts are. Why are you feeling overwhelmed? Well, it's because the boss gave me all this work and I can't handle this work. Can you not? Or is it that you just said okay too many times instead of saying, no, boss, I can't take it? You're going to have more overwhelm when you're trying to get things done while you're in resistance, especially if you're in resistance. If you're doing stuff because you don't really want to do it, your brain's going to kick into overdrive going, yeah, we can't handle this stuff. We better not. How am I supposed to handle all this? There's all this other stuff coming in through from every direction at me. Your brain will worry about so many things that it doesn't need to worry about, especially if you're someone who has a tendency to wig out about fear of missing out. You know, that whole FOMO thing. You're afraid that you're going to miss out on something important. Well, that's your brain. You're not allowing your brain to focus on intentionally on something. You're just going to let your mind just kind of wander. And when we do this, when we start falling into indulging habits, then we're just adding in more and more and more to the whole mix, to where you eventually are out of control and you do experience the overwhelm. You do experience the fear of that you're going to mess something up, and that you just lock up and you don't do anything. You become so overwhelmed that eventually you allow confusion to step in. You allow confusion to step in. You're not going to do anything because you've got the ultimate excuse. Your brain wants to go to comfort land, and it's going to be in your comfort zone, and because it's easier. So how do you get past that overwhelm? Especially if you find yourself in overwhelm, or you are afraid that you're feeling that you're becoming overwhelmed. First, you've got to learn how to be intentional with your thoughts by examining the thoughts, seeing what you're doing and what your thoughts about that circumstance are. If you see that those circumstances or those thoughts about the circumstance aren't helping you at all, then find a way of changing that thought. You don't have to change the circumstance. You got to first be able to change your thought. To be able to say, no, sir, I don't have the room. I don't have the bandwidth to take on 2 more accounts. I can't right now. I'm busy neck deep on this, whatever this is. Learn how to manage your time. Learn how to get more done in less time. And there are ways to do that. Like I said, Monday Hour 1, great way to do that. But always be paying attention to the thoughts you're having and asking yourself why you actually believe what it is that you believe. Because, yeah, you may think that, I can handle that. Thinking that, if I tell my boss no, he's going to be mad at me. My mouth is saying yes, but inside my head, I'm screaming, no, I don't need any more stuff to do. I'm full. But yet we go ahead and we say yes, especially as people pleasers, especially as nice guys. We're going to say, sure, yeah, I can do this. I'll have to go sleep without sleep one night, but I got it all under control. If you believe that you can't do it, then tell your boss that you can't do it. It's better to actually say the truth than to face the overwhelm, because a lot of times we're going to tell ourselves a lie until we get pressed upon it, and then we will actually fess up. So guys, when it comes to overwhelm, face the truth. You can fight overwhelm quite easily. You can fight the overwhelm with just changing your thoughts of whatever the circumstance actually is. The more you change those thoughts, the better and easier your life can be. You can start making decisions about your life in a more confident manner. But it does take you actually having to start paying attention to what your thoughts actually are. Being intentional with your thoughts, being intentional with when you notice that you're feeling an emotion you don't really care to have, allowing that emotion to carry through. Admit, yeah, dude, I am feeling overwhelmed, something fierce right now. Then carrying on, and instead of just going through with it and going, I'll pressure myself through it. Instead of doing that, just allow yourself to actually feel that emotion and then find a way of changing your thought. Do you really believe that's what you actually think about the circumstance? If no, then good. Change that thought. You're allowed to, you're more than welcome to change the thoughts that you have. So, and if you want help on doing any of this, this is a great time to be able to reach out and take the next step, because I've still got openings for the 5 free coaching sessions. And if you're interested in having one, go ahead. I didn't actually get my local friends called this week. So you've still got a chance. You've still got a big chance of being able to step up and actually start getting some 6 months worth of free coaching. And if that's something that sounds interesting, you want to be able to get past the overwhelm, start stepping into a life that you want to live, and do so without having to worry about buffering and worry about indulging thoughts, worry about becoming overwhelmed, and being able to live your life with a level of confidence, then please reach out to me. Go and send an email with Brian with a Y at relaxedmail.com and say, hey, out, and put in the subject line something about the free coaching package. And I'll let you know, hey, yeah, I've got you set up. This is what we'll do. And we'll sit down, we'll talk, and we'll go into it, and we'll look at, if you want help with that, I'd be honored to help you get into the life that you would like to live. So guys, with that, I want to say thank you very much for listening. If there's anything in here that rang a bell, that resonated with you, just is something that just woke a passion up in you, share this out. Share this out with the men in your life and the men in your Facebook group, in your Facebook profile. Share this out with as many men as you can, because we're still growing, we're improving, and because of that, I still need your help. And with that, guys, I want to say thank you. And guys, take care. We're going to see you next week, and maybe I will get whatever's going on in my head and stuff taken care of, because wow, I realize I'm a little all over the place, and that's what we'll nail that one down. I think I have an idea of where this little problem is coming from. So guys, anyhow, with that, I want to say thank you very much for listening. Y'all take care, and see y'all next week. Till then, bye.